What is up guys, Andy Forrest Team Runner here, and today I'm giving you guys my top 5 tips on recovery during marathon training. So welcome back to another video, and today I thought I would sit down, seeing as we are so far through this marathon training series now, and talk about recovery, talk about what I do on a daily and weekly basis to make sure that I'm recovered enough to roll straight in to the following week's training. It's pretty key during marathon training, and to be honest, any training block, that we're able to keep that ball rolling. That's been the motto of this block, but to be able to string consistent weeks back to back to back, that's the key to progression, and that's the key to a good training block. So what I thought we'd do is go through the 5 things that I swear by and that I'm doing, some that I've been doing before, some that are new to this training block, which I'll talk about there and then when we get to them, that I do, as I said, on a weekly and daily basis to get myself through each week, make sure I'm recovered and ready to attack the next run, the next workout and the next week. If you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll kickstart with number 1. And just before we dive into tip number 1, let me just stress that these are the recovery things that work for me. They work well for my routine, my running, training and my lifestyle. They may or may not work for you, but hopefully you can take something away from this video, even incorporate a point or two into your own recovery. But the most important thing in all of this is to get that discussion going in the comments below and let me know and everyone else what your recovery tips are. Tips and tricks, what's allowed you guys to keep the ball rolling throughout your marathon trainings, half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever it is, what allows you to go week in, week out and log those consistent miles. And finally, just before we get into this one, there's one glaringly obvious point that is missing, and that's a sports massage. I would recommend that till the cows come home, but sadly during lockdown I am trying to keep this video specific to the training block, and during this training block, sadly with lockdown, we can't have a sports massage. So just bear that in mind. I would normally incorporate that in, but we can't, so I've been creative, and let's get in to the points. And tip number 1 is all about the warm-up. Yes, recovery starts even before you've taken a step out the door. That might seem a little bit weird, but for me, during this marathon training block, this resistance band and a couple of other tools, a foam roller and a black spiky ball like a lacrosse ball, have been key for me. Now, I don't use all of these things all the time. It's mainly this little beauty here, and this is all about activation. For me, with the job that I do and the height that I am, my glutes are often deactivated, for want of a better word. I sit at a desk for a long period of time and often the glutes aren't firing. So it's really important for me to spend 5 or 10 minutes, if I'm not in a rush, downstairs getting this done before I even step out the door. I'll do things like clamshells, I'll do things like donkey kicks, I'll do things like crab walking across the room, which is kind of where you're in a squat and you kind of walk sideways with this on, just to get the glutes firing. I do plan hopefully on doing a warm-up routine video at some point, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks before the training series is out. But if I don't, just kind of a brief explanation. Those are some of the key things that I like to do. And then some glute bridges as well, where you're kind of thrusting your hips up, lying on the floor. All of these things I try and do before I step out the door, because I do find, obviously, I run so much better when my glutes are activated, and I often find if I don't have the time or if I'm in a rush, which has only happened a handful of times throughout this whole block, but it does happen, then my form is just terrible. I do find that I bend a lot more in the hips and I'm really huffing and puffing a lot more during the run because I'm just not running as efficiently. Whereas if my glutes are activated, it makes the world of difference. And what that then does to the recovery is when you get back, you've not stressed and strained muscles that have had to overwork during the run because your glutes are underactive. So a lot of people suffer with bad backs, bad hamstrings, and that's down to the fact that your glutes aren't firing. Well, it's not solely down to the fact, don't take that as gospel, but often if your glutes aren't firing, your back, your lower back or your hamstrings then take the load of what your glutes are doing. So then you get sore hamstrings, sore back, that then leads to more injury. Whereas if you're activating and making sure everything's working before you step out that front door, then your recovery is going to be so much easier when you get back. So tip number 2 is going to be all about what you put in your body straight after that run. Now, I'm not really talking about easy runs and moderate runs. I tend to, after those runs, just have like an electrolytes tablet in some water and rehydrate, have a few glasses of water, and then I tend to eat something relatively good in terms of carbs and protein, which tends to be peanut butter or some nut butter in a tortilla wrap. I've always got wraps at home and nut butters, and that is a go-to food, with a banana as well, or peanut butter even on a banana or with a banana. Those kind of basic plain foods are really, really good for me on those days, and that's straight after the run, just to make sure that I'm refueling properly. And a lot of fruit. I love to eat fruit, so those tend to be the foods that I eat straight after. After a session or a long run, I tend to put down a Unived recovery shake. I've been using Unived, this isn't a sales pitch by the way, but I've been using Unived recovery shakes probably now for nearly 2 years, and these are the most incredible protein shakes. I'm extremely lucky that I'm now a Unived athlete, and I will shout about these products until the cows come home. But of course, you guys might have your own protein shakes, and that's absolutely fine. I'm just trying to stress here that if you go out there and do a hard session, or if you go out there and do a long run that really takes something out of you, you really need to get that fuel back in you. And for me, this has everything in it that I need to feel better. And within hours, I feel much better of having it. And again, with your protein shakes of choice or whatever you want to eat, you will no doubt also feel the same. And I feel that's really key because, of course, with my training, I do have some rest periods. I only run 5 days a week. But for example, on a Thursday, if I'm having a session and then I'm running easy on a Friday, but then with the thought of a long run on the Saturday, I need to make sure that straight after my Thursday session in particular, that I'm recovering and eating as well as I can, because the easy run takes care of itself. The long run is something I really need to think about. So always, always, always thinking about the first thing that goes in my mouth: water, hydration, and decent food, or a protein shake straight away. And once we've got the food in and the hydration done, then we move on to, I nearly said we roll on to, then we move on to the foam roller. This is a really basic foam roller, and I've had this for about 3 or 4 years now, and it's absolutely incredible. It's even got a groove in the middle where you can see I roll my back, and that's my spine that's made a dent in the foam roller. Now, this thing has been, again, an absolutely incredible bit of kit during this marathon training series. I use this most days, most evenings. Now, on a moderate and easy day, I tend to do this in the evenings. I don't do it straight after because my body doesn't feel that strained. On a session day, if I've got time, I'll do it straight after I've had my protein shake and my hydration, or get a shower and stuff like that, and then I'll get straight on it if I've got time. And if not, I'll do it at my earliest convenience, because I do find that the quicker I do it after a run, the easier my muscles settle down and feel better. If I kind of let them, if I sit down and start working at a computer and let them seize up a little bit, I do find this a little bit more painful later on in the day. As I said earlier, I also have a black sort of hard lacrosse ball that I use. I couldn't find it for the video today. It is at home somewhere. I think one of the kids have stolen it, but that again is great for those trigger points. This, because it's not a knobbly type of foam roller, just does the basic ironing out, I like to think of it as, and then that lacrosse ball really does get into those sore points. So what I can do is use this, identify where some of those painful areas are, and then torture myself even more by using that black spiky ball. So that's another way that I then just try and kind of start to flush the legs out and get them feeling better. And tip number 4, this is new to me for this marathon training block, is a massage gun. This thing has been a bit of a revelation, and I really, really enjoy using this. Now, I was sent this for the purpose of review, and what I told the company was that I would incorporate it into one of my training vlogs, because I feel that recovery is absolutely key. But I've had it for about 3 weeks. I didn't want to just get it and then quickly review it. I've been using it almost daily, and I'll tell you something, a massage gun has been absolutely revolutionary for me. Now, these guys, I want to say a massive thank you to for sending it out. They're called Everyfun, and I will leave a link in the description to their website, where if you want to, you can go and pick up your own massage gun. It's not an affiliate link. I get no kickbacks. I have said to them that I don't want a kickback. I'm not interested in that. I just will, I feel if the product is good, I'll tell you guys it's good, and I'll leave a link there for you if you want to pick it up. Now, everyone has been using a massage gun for so long, and they've been saying, Andy, you've got to try one. They're really, really good. And I've taken so long to get to the point where I've tried it. So I'm super, super grateful for Everyfun for sending this to me. And I have to say, I've been missing out a lot. This has been really, really good over the last 2 or 3 weeks, to the point where I've almost really stopped using the foam roller as much as I would usually use it, and spend time every single day. Every day I've been using this for 3 weeks, and I have only charged it once, and I've used it every single day, only on setting 1 and setting 2. There are 5 settings on it. Setting 5 is absolutely insane. That's 1, okay? And then I progress up to 2, which is that. Once I've gone through sort of the quads, the hamstrings, the calves and that sort of thing. And then 3, 4, 5. That is absolutely insane. So I've never got to that point before. But tips, settings 1 and 2 have been my best friend for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I have to say my legs are feeling so much better once I get back from a session and do this. And yes, it does hurt a little bit more than the foam roller. This is like using the lacrosse ball, because it really can get into the trigger points. There's 5 different heads on it. It's absolutely incredible. My favorite one actually is this one, and I'll tell you why it's this one, because this goes lovely down the back of your spine. So get the wife, get this thing, and she goes down the back of my spine. It feels absolutely amazing. But in all seriousness, a massage gun is absolutely incredible. The other one that I've used a lot is this trigger point one. It looks a bit dodgy, but it is a beautiful trigger point extension to go on the end there. And it really does get into those muscle knots and iron them out. And again, I've been able to just use this. My legs feel great the next day, and just able to keep that ball rolling. And my 5th and final recovery tip, and this is something I have done for as long as I've known, is I walk, and I walk a lot. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I have to say on my recovery days and my easy days, and actually on the weekends, on my rest days, I walk. I probably walk between 5 to 10 miles extra a week, across the week. On Sunday, the weekend just gone, I went out for a 3-mile walk. During the week, I got a couple of 2-mile walks in here and there. I just find that just walking helps keep the body moving, helps keep me active, helps keep me feeling fresh and healthy. It's just something I've always done, I've always believed in. I do believe in kind of active recovery. Yes, I do only run 5 days a week. Yes, I probably could run more. That's just the way that life is at the moment. I have to use my Wednesdays, which is my day off, to have a mass working day to catch up on some of the time that I lose on the Monday and the Tuesday and the Thursday and the Friday where I might be out running. So Wednesday tends to be a mad day. When things settle down, who knows, I might end up start running Wednesday as well. But at the moment, I use that as an extra bulk working day. So then what I'll try and do is get out for a lunchtime walk, get out for an evening walk, and especially on the weekends, even after my long run on a Saturday, sometimes I'll go out and walk. And as I said, I just find that if I keep that body moving, it helps me keep moving, helps me keep feeling good and fresh, doesn't let the legs settle and get sort of dead feeling, especially after a session. It's great, I find, to go out and just do a mile walk in the evening if I've done a session in the morning, just to flush everything out. So the combination of the protein and the water and the massage gun and the walking just leads to this kind of amazing feeling that the next day I wake up and I just don't even feel like I've done anything. So there we go. Those are my top 5 recovery tips during my sub 240 marathon training series. Hopefully you can see that we're in week 14 now, I think it is, and we're clocking some really consistent and decent mileage. And that's all down to the fact that I'm able to keep that ball rolling. And as I said, it's a compliment to Chris, my coach, for the training that he's given me, plus the fact I'm able to keep things recovered and able to get up and going the next day. Recovery is just the most important thing to allow us to run consistently, and hopefully today, by sharing what I've shared, you can see how I'm able to do it based on the training that we've been doing. But as I said in the intro, let me know in the comments below what your favorite recovery tips are. What have I missed bar the sports massage? What have I missed? And let me know what your go-to is that helps you keep that ball rolling. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.